Soldier Boy. Yeah, you could be if we were in a crowd, you'd be mistaken between him and I.
Really?
No,
That's impressive.
not at all.
Well, as we get people jumping in here and stuff like that. Um, we're here. It was a got back from a 4-day drift event. Might as well have
Oh
just been
God.
drift week. Um, that was and they were long days too. It wasn't like
Have
oh
you been on Drift Week?
no I haven't.
Okay, me neither. Obviously it's a bucket list item, but like I always thought, oh my God, it must be so much fun. And then we went to drifting for 4 straight days with the competition on the last day, and it was not gonna lie to you, it was a little rough.
Yeah,
Sounds like a little bit of pain to me.
Yeah.
That much
yeah.
drifting back to back. Drift week kind of scares me because like, where do you shower? I
Everyone
guess
Uh,
you
stays
get it.
in
you
like
stay at
hotels and
hotels,
B and
bud.
B's.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
it's not like a
I
camping
thought,
trip.
oh, I thought you just live out of a car or something.
I mean,
No.
some people might, but to each their own.
Oh, that'd be wild.
You mean to
Well,
tell me you never went camping for like 3, 4 days back when you were a kid, like
No,
no
I
shower?
did.
well,
I don't
no
just don't think it
shower
would be
and no and
fun.
camping is one other thing.
Because the
I
whole
mean,
idea of Drift Week is you're supposed to bring everything with you in the drift car, pretty much.
what's up, Malik? I mean, yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I thought that you fucking just have to do like a get like a plastic bag and pour a couple waters in it and then poke some holes in the bottom of
Oh
that
my
motherfucker or
gosh.
something.
Yeah, well, remember before there were showers at Club Loose, like that's what
Well,
everybody
yeah,
did.
that's true. And then they put the nice rainbow heads in.
Oh yeah,
Nice
baby.
ice cold showers.
Nothing like trying not to barf in that thing in the morning, you know what I'm saying?
I'm more at the nighttime that I was holding it together in there. And thank God that the walls were tight because you really got some grip and to hold on to. You can only bounce so far. You really
Yeah.
the only other place is just if your knees give out and you crumble. But
I can't say I've ever had a drunk shower in one of those, but I've definitely had like a hungover morning of like Sunday. It's like the last day,
I'm
and I'm
always at
like,
the night because I'm covered in rubber, standing on the bank. So I
yeah,
always try to handle it at nighttime, and it's just like, oh,
yeah.
thank
Yeah.
goodness for the walls. Up in snow
What?
towards, I know if it did like Drift Week, but in Europe, I don't
I
even.
gotta pull up the comments so I know what everyone's saying.
Yeah, I think it was something kind of like that, but I don't know the full details on what he's doing over there. I haven't had a chance to watch any of his videos on it. Um, but I'm pretty sure he's done Drift Week in America. Um, but it was funny because I remember the first couple that Losi did. Um, everyone just brought a Corvette that went, and it was like the great awakening of Corvettes. I feel like was the first Drift Week, and like 30% of the cars were Corvettes, and it's like oh. Not only are they really good drift cars, they're reliable. You don't got to do anything to them, and they're comfy to
Everyone just
drive.
brought a Corvette that went, and it was like
Hey, you pipe it down over
I'm sorry, that's me.
there.
But no, I
Yeah,
agree. I agree with what you're saying because like the most reliable car is going to be the Corvette, not the 20 some year old, 30 some year old 240 that's like no interior, having
Right.
to drive from track to track.
yeah. If
Yeah.
you can
I
get
had a,
like a C6 for cheap, it's really ultimately it's the bang for the buck. It's not bad, especially if you're doing
right.
something for an extended period of time.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I just think a lot of these people are getting
The
old.
yeah,
Just to be honest,
the F8.
all these
I lo-
drifters are just like, you know what?
you think
I'm
you
kind of
think
tired of no AC and loud noises. Even though like a lot of the Corvettes are quiet, but I mean, a lot of them still had exhausts on them.
this nice 8 to 4 to 1 fucking exhaust at that company? It literally, I think that their brand name is 841
Oh, really?
like fabrication or something like that. Yeah, and they make the best sounding exhaust for a Corvette. Oh my goodness, they sound like an F1 car.
That's
be
sweet.
running that 315 horsepower, and it sounds like that you got like 8,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
most of them had interiors too, like talking about sound.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
You got Reese in the chat over here too. What's up, Reese? He runs
What's
Drift
up, Mike?
School Evergreen.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And he, I'm pretty sure he got a Corvette too. He's getting old too. Let's be honest. I see the gray hairs, Reese.
Better to be gray than bald, bro. Come on.
Yeah,
I guess we could knock everybody because we are bald.
exactly. It's like one of those things where you just gotta embrace it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Nate's not bald. Nate is hat.
Yeah, exactly. You can't tell that, yo.
That is
Have you ever
crazy.
seen Nate's head? I never have.
I have. I know him. I know his deep dark secrets.
I'm just trying to represent everybody, okay? That's all I'm trying to do, man.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna hit him with the skull shaver and at Irwindale. He's gonna be
Nice.
like, damn. He's gonna wake up and be like, damn, this shit's smooth.
Ooh, this kind of tight though.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna show up, and next day, that shit's gonna be blinding people.
Yeah, I know, right? I guess I could just start playing this. Yeah, it looks like we're getting a bunch of people in here. Malik's like, those F80s on Drift League are pretty sick too. I'm like, honestly, if you can afford an F80, that's a pretty sweet car.
to drift.
E92s. Like, I'm a big fan of the people that are now starting to just take the newer BMW chassis.
Because I hated how those things looked from the factory, but people are making them look real nice now. With kits and stuff, like.
I mean, I like
Dude.
them right out the box.
I don't mind them. Yeah, I'm with you, Herbie. They're nice. The G80s had to grow on me, but the F80s are chill.
Yeah, G80s definitely had to take a couple of months
because they had those big old beans up front, those floor to ceiling boys.
They got their nighttime like nostril strips on, and they just open wide up. Oh man.
No, it'll be cool to kind of see where some of that stuff is gonna land, and
you gonna get copywritten for this?
No, it's my footage.
Mm-hmm. You never know, dude.
You never know.
Can I copyright myself?
Could. Then you collect the earnings. It's like a money laundering scheme.
Don't worry, I'm gonna play all the ads on the video too, and we're gonna watch them all the way through. But
so like these vantage points are so like completely different from where I was watching at, where they had the announcers at.
Yeah, I'm underneath the judges. I'm underneath the judges. Okay. So this is where
it looks even cooler from this angle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the media life. Hopefully it fucking looks cooler. If it ain't looking cooler than what you guys get to see from
she's the announcer for the event. So she's
right.
Wait, she's gonna be running around behind the cars on.
I'm kind of supposed to be like a big deal, buddy. You know what I mean?
You are a big deal, but like on Heelys, are you gonna run?
Dude, that would be sick.
I've always been talking about motorized Heelys, and nobody wants to hear me out.
Those sound sketchy. I'm not gonna lie.
It does.
Well, everybody says, "Well, it's gonna be too big for your foot," and it's like, but really? I mean, like, look at technology these days.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I just feel like
what
you could
point
just
is the good one? The bit too big for the foot, or the fact that technology?
There's a reason that rocket skates never took off.
And Rocket Power probably got canceled.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But no, so obviously Sarah and I went to an event called No Star Bash this weekend. If you haven't heard of it, it's probably the biggest drift event in the Midwest. Had over 170 drivers. Drift Indy puts on. It was 4 days this year. And I don't know if that was just because they had to move their street league competition into No Star. Is that why it was 4 days now?
Yeah, so I announced Drift Indy Street League, and this was the final round. There was a scheduling issue. I don't really know the reasoning behind the move, but they had to move the event, so they decided to butt it up with No Star Bash. So I believe that was the first time that they've done anything like that. And also, I think that's the first time that it was like 4 full days of drifting. I don't mean like a load in day, a pack out day. I mean like they were driving all day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
Was it a competition or
Only on Sunday.
Yeah,
So the
Sunday.
drivers got to practice on Saturday night, and then the driving well, they do prelims, so preliminary runs, and then the actual comp was on Sunday. So
Yeah, well, the thing is too is they changed the layout 3 different times during the week.
oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that's a
very
good
cool.
point too.
Yeah,
So
Very cool.
they only ran the Drift Indy Street League layout, which is what you're seeing right now, for the last practice on Saturday night. So it was from like 7 to 11. And they did invite some of the better A group drivers to come and run that layout as well. But the rest of the weekend, everybody who was signed up for No Star Bash was kind of just like running. They did groups similar to what Club Loose does, A, B, and C. So
Okay,
yep.
cool.
And it was kind of crazy. What's different about Club Loose is they still make you run tandems in group, pretty much every group.
oh yeah,
They just kind of force
Yeah,
you,
that
and then
was-
just kind of throw you out to the wolves. Like, good luck, you know.
you tandem in every class.
Man.
If you
Yeah.
want to, or if you don't know how to say no properly. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'll listen to a driver within their means, but yeah, it's crazy. It's not just A group tandems out there, and not only that, but they were
Bold
running
move.
like
B group was
one
wild,
after
dude.
the other after the other, like these huge trains are really really cool to
Yeah.
watch. So
Well, the reality is the big thing with Edgar's events is he wants seat time is like the main
Yeah.
priority for these guys. So he's running. So he's got 170 cars that he's got to get out there and driving and seat time for everyone. So the best way to do
Yeah.
it is to send people out. And what usually they do in like for B group, for example, is they have them spaced out by like, oh, what do you say, like 3 car lengths in between
Yeah.
each car, basically.
it
That's
was a little
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah. But
That's
then they
pretty good,
send,
though.
but they send like 10, 15 cars out, and then that's a
Yeah.
huge part. So you're not sitting in line all day waiting to go, you know. And you
Yeah, the
learn,
grid did move.
real quick how to watch your surroundings.
It's
Or you-
a good
yeah.
skill to have because, like, think
It
about it. If
definitely-
you're in competition, if you're actually, tandem with another driver, avoiding a wreck is huge. So it's
Is
kind
this
of
where
like
they
trial
had this
by
this
fire.
backwards entry thing going
No,
on?
Edgar will
No.
beat your ass if you.
Thank
No, that-
goodness. All right. Well, we'll get
that
to that
was
later on.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
get to that
'cause
later on.
That was definitely. Did you hear? You saw that, Nate? At all?
The what?
It was
You
a
didn't see.
backwards entry competition.
There was so much tomfoolery.
Oh
this
no, I
weekend.
didn't.
feel like
I didn't
we
see
need to
it. So
talk
you guys
about a
have to
couple of-
educate me. I might have seen
Okay.
a video. I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't know like the context or what
I
it was
wonder if
from.
we can pull it up. It's
mean,
an
the-
Instagram video.
The dude
Probably.
who won.
I could try to pull it up.
That it's just
Who put it on, or
So
like
there,
where would I find
there's
it?
2 pieces of
I-
shenanigans that I'm
Herbie,
pretty
send
sure
me a
was
link.
even on
I
Formula
don't know who put
Here,
it.
I'll send you a link. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sarah, send me a link.
Will we get in trouble for posting something from Formula Derp?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
841 concept. What's up, Phil? What's up, Roger?
What's up,
Was
guys?
it Derp or was it?
He hates
Oh,
neon
man.
wheels. I like neon wheels only sometimes. I have one on order.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Damn.
Well, you said it. Uh,
Okay, I found the first one. So there was
Well,
2
the
big
main-
old shenanigans this weekend.
Big main one, Mike Perez.
That one I can't find yet. So I'm sending Nate the other one.
That was on No Star Derp or something.
Yeah, hold on.
But that one,
send it to the DDM one.
Okay.
I think that Perez
Or no,
was
yeah,
at
the-
the right
yeah.
up until what looks like he put his car after they spun out together on his passenger door and just ripped a burnout up against the car door for a good 15 seconds.
Okay, I sent it to Daily Driver Media. So basically, we'll wait till we pull the video up. But it's everyone was just on one. I don't know if it's like too late in the season, or like people aren't paying attention, or like we're just being dickheads. I didn't hear it from any source. I just heard it like second, third party. So this is a video of, I think it's Jabbar Ramos and Mike Perez, what is supposed to be a backwards entry competition.
Lone
Okay.
Star, yeah.
Okay, and this was at Langley, the U.S. Drift event that if Drift Indy didn't get rescheduled, I would have been announcing there. And so it was supposed to be one driver at a time, but apparently they were like getting stoked. It was like the end of the night, whatever. And they went two drivers at a time. So Jabbar messes up, which, you know, it happens to everybody, no hate. Let me just be
let me
clear.
know when you want to play the video.
Perez passes him.
Yeah, he passes him. He's following the right line.
Right. Everything looks kind of chill, except Perez overcooks it, which it is what it is, and then just chaos. So play that, John.
Here we go.
What the? Ooh.
He is on the brakes, but he's just roasting tires still.
And these cars are just like fricked the frick up, like XXL fricked up. And then I'm sending you another one from another comp where two drive.
That's not great. I mean, the problem with and this is frustrating because I understand what they're trying to do, but it's not a
dude. This is what's relatable.
It would have been really, really, really cool if it didn't get messed up. So, like, what do you do with that information? Like, it could have been really cool, you know, but somebody...
I feel like it's hard to have a backwards entry at this track, too. Like, I mean, like, this track isn't necessarily it's not built around backwards. So you're going to have to throw dumb, stupid... I think the whole thing was a little silly. And you come at me for that, I don't give a fuck. But... I think that the backwards thing at that track specifically, I think was not necessarily great. But, I mean, hey, and then, like you said, it kind of got a little out of hand. Whatever.
It was like the perfect storm of, like, tomfoolery that just, like, converged on that one run.
I hate it to be Perez. I hate it. Like, I love him, you know. And it's like,
dude, he's my co-host. Poor guy went inverted last year. Now he's crashed again.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna have to question him.
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to see him this weekend at the Gambler. I don't know if he'll be coming up.
I'll be there.
All right. Well, we'll have to get his side of the story, and
if we have one side, I hit the other side.
Yeah. If we have any addendums to our discussion, of course we will bring it to you guys next week. Because obviously we don't want to talk out of our ass here, but that's the information that I was given.
Jabbar is a Club Loose guy, right?
Yeah, he was a Gambler driver as well. We haven't seen him in a bit, and now his car is just...
He mollywopped his shit at the Gambler one time too. So, and then he did a giveaway that he never gave away, and right, it was him.
I think it was him. Yeah. Dang, we're really like trudging up some of the feed here, dude.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's tough. Like, they're trying something new. They're trying something fun, and it just goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, so if it was like, if any one of those pieces was not in play, like if it wasn't two drivers, if the lead driver didn't mess up, and then if the second driver didn't also mess up, like any one of those things you remove from the equation, that you don't have that like catastrophic. But okay, also at the end of the day, what really happened aside from them looking stupid on the internet, like as far as I know, nobody was hurt in this. Yeah. And their cars got messed up. That's part of drifting, especially when you do dumb stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think you'll see a lot of similarities with this video as well.
Yeah, so I sent you another one, which is some more tomfoolery. This is a completely different competition.
About this one.
I don't know what happened. All I know is this is two drivers. I think these might even be former FD guys that were supposed to be doing like a pinwheel in celebration, and it just goes... completely wrong.
And I've had this is not the first time I've seen this happen either at other events.
This is the first time I've seen this happen.
Really?
Like my comment is there.
Oh, your comment is there? Oh, let me pull it
Sorry,
up.
bro, is crazy.
Yeah, well, the problem when you do celebrations like this and you get a bunch of cars involved, you can't see anything,
There was
and
only 2.
you will. No, I think there were 4 cars.
I think there was more cars. I think I saw another angle of this video, by the way.
Oh,
I'll have to try
dang.
to find it.
Yeah, so there's Hull's
Wait,
car and Luke Fink's car as well, and that's
okay. But
crazy.
they're off doing their own skedaddling, no?
No, so what happens was so I saw a different video. So basically
Me too.
they're doing 4 car tandem donuts,
Okay.
and Naren pulls out, and he doesn't see that the guy behind him is also pulling out with him, and Naren turns to, like, I don't know, turn left for some reason, and the guy just nails him.
Yeah, I can't find the other angle, but I did see it
Yeah.
earlier today too. And I just remember this morning at work being like, what is this tomfoolery? What is going on here?
Yeah, that just looks like they just didn't see each
bad
other.
time. Well, yeah, fucking Naren turned right into him as the other guy was like going to initiate as well.
Yeah.
It was just bad time. It was literally
It's
bad
literally
timing.
bad luck, and
But
it
but
sucks
that's
to
what I mean.
see.
Like, sorry, bro, is just crazy.
Sorry,
This-
bro, is crazy.
Like, I mean, like, there's no. It's just damn. There's no sorry. It's just damn.
That's
That's
tough.
how I say it. There's
I got the other angle. Dude, I should work for the FBI. What did that take me? 2 minutes? Hold on. Incoming, other angle.
I don't think that works the same way.
What?
You
I'll
can't
find
work.
you. I'll find you on the internet in 10 seconds.
Well, yeah, I got my Snapchat maps on.
All right, so that kind of changes it a little bit. It's one thing if 2 drivers are doing a pinwheel and like you mess up. That's kind of like,
no.
guys,
So you
come on,
see,
what's
they
going
come
on
from
here?
smoke.
Yeah.
So the guy probably can't see in his car because it's covered in smoke. You can't tell from this angle. Did you send it?
Yeah, I sent the other one, I think. Hold on, let me check. And this was round 3 of Catch My
See,
Drift.
it's a 4-car pinwheel or
Yeah,
4
look
car.
at this utter tomfoolery.
And you can't see anything. That's why it's so dangerous when you do this. And obviously, like, Naren pulls off, he can't see, and then this other guy comes in.
At the same time, though, dude, they cut through the smoke.
Yeah.
I am on the other end here. They cut through the smoke. He makes that conscious decision to finally now enter the car. You got Naren on the inside. You got other homeboy on the outside. He's driving, cuts through, and now they both consciously make the decision to do what they did. Clear view.
Now
There is-
kiss.
And now kiss. There was like everybody else behind him.
Well, the guy's behind Naren, so Naren didn't see him.
I'm
But
watching it again.
Well, no, but yeah, I know. I'm not putting this more on Naren, but I'm
Right.
putting more on the other dude because Naren, whoever's in the front, always has the first.
Right.
You are the lead car. So, like, if Naren's going to cut in, cool. That guy made the wrong choice. So, like, it was
Oof.
literally at the same time. So it's hard to say. Like, there's really no at fault. It literally just it happened at the same time.
They both were like leaving the original circle and went to go enter into their own shit,
Into
and it
their
was like
own,
another
and
situation,
bad
perfect
time.
storm.
well, I don't think
So,
Naren
like-
was entering into anything. It just looked like he
No,
was
was there
turning.
an exit of the track there?
Yeah, I don't know. He was just turning
It
to the left.
looked like
maybe
he was
to-
about to rip a donut, but at the same time, again, I don't think it was because they couldn't see. I think it was just genuinely bad timing for both of them. Like, he had, like, Naren was turning, the other dude fucking came out of the smoke line and then got on it more. He gave it more beans.
Yeah.
Cool. Sucks.
Yeah,
It
That's
sucks.
wild.
it makes drifting look bad.
It
Even though
definitely-
it
does.
wasn't, but like I've seen accidents happen when they're doing celebration donuts, and like
Yeah.
you get caught in the smoke, and you can't see anything.
yeah, you're just
You don't know
hoping for
what's
the
gonna
best.
happen. You try to pull off when another guy's like there, like you
Still
have no.
doing it.
Yeah, it can get kind of sketchy, and I mean, it's just kind of goes to show you kind of where. I mean, that's why a lot of drift organizations do not let you celebrate like that. Like at FD, you get in big trouble if you're doing that.
Yeah.
And when especially in like an unsafe area. I mean, sometimes they'll do some donuts. The drivers will get a chance to do some donuts, like, and it's just two cars. But like,
Right.
there's been multiple
It
times
is
where like,
very rare.
especially like they used to do like a whole kinds of like little donuts and stuff after top 616 intros and stuff, and it's like,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
I do
So
remember that.
they just don't they try to limit this stuff as because it's just another opportunity for something to go wrong, and especially if you can't see anything, there's it's hard to blame someone when they can't see. You're
It's
like,
crazy too because it's like you don't know when you're gonna start, you don't know when you're gonna end. It's like not clear. You know
mhm.
what I mean? So it's just like we end when the vibes are gone, and then you have to sort of pay attention to the guy whenever he's pulling out. In that
Yeah.
situation, you can't see
Yeah,
Yep.
anything.
Oh man.
but I don't know. I think it there's you can't do donuts or top six intros. There's fans on track. That's also true, Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that they do the whole fan experience,
The
I'm not
whole
saying they
fan
should do
experience.
that. It's probably
Right.
good that they don't.
hmm
And like, what are you celebrating? Top 16? Like, you still have half the competition to go, friend.
Right. Well, it's more for me. It's more of a crowd thing. Like you just want to get the crowd
Yeah,
hype, so
true.
you go do a quick donut or something or some donuts, and like that gets the crowd going. Like that's the idea behind it. Obviously,
It does
um,
get the people going.
it
Yeah.
does,
It
man.
does. We need something.
Right.
It doesn't need to necessarily be donut. It could be dudes on dirt bikes behind. How much is it? How much does four dudes on dirt bikes cost to rent? And be like, yo, man, do you think that you could whip a couple of jumps real quick?
I mean,
That's
they
How
a
do
good
hard?
that.
point.
I mean, this is that
What?
kind of leads into the Drift Masters discussion because they did
That's
have
what
some
I mean.
Yeah.
entertainment
You
event
gotta.
of some sort at their events, but we're not there yet.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
we're still on
back
this
to
part.
the original topic of after
Sorry.
talking about shenanigans, which there were plenty of shenanigans that also happened at No Star Bash, but it wasn't drifting related. So,
Well,
Oh,
there was a near miss. So the way they run this layout, if
oh yeah,
you don't like go back to grid to get off the track, you risk a head-on collision. So in the drivers' meeting, they were extremely clear about make sure you go back to grid to get off the course. And I did. I was sitting there watching, like taking notes on everybody because there's a lot of drivers to remember, guys. Okay, cut me some slack. And someone I
yeah.
don't know who it was didn't do that and like went to exit. And luckily, the two drivers that were already coming out of drift, like they were able to stop in time. But it's basically anything can happen at any moment. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And so in this event, like I said, is 4 days. You guys have been driving 4 days. Like, there's a lot of people that are just exhausted and trying to get through
mhm.
the event at this point. That might be one of my few criticisms from No Star Bash is just maybe have the competition not on day 4.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know if you were there in the drivers meeting on the last day on
Yeah.
Sunday. Everyone is just like, and Edgar was just like, "Hey guys, like we realize everyone is wiped. Like we tried a new thing, and obviously this probably wasn't the best layout. So they maybe they won't ever pair
hmm
them in the future. Maybe they'll have the competition
So I
first,
talked to
and
Edgar
then
about it. He wants to do the combination of Street League and No Star. He
yeah,
thinks it's actually a really fun way to combine the two basically.
yeah,
It'll just be 3 days though, and the way that you guys know or the way that Drift Indy runs events, like 3 days is plenty of driving for these guys.
oh yeah. And
So
if they had even just like maybe prelims the day before and then just comp on the last day, that would be chill too. Or if they did comp first,
hmm
like practice and prelims on Friday, comp
right,
Saturday, like everyone fuck around a clock on Sunday, that'd be sick.
yeah. So there's different ways to run it. But I think overall the event was like super smooth. Uh, the
It went
driving was
so fast. I was like, thank God.
it was a lot of
It
fun. Like it was a lot of
it
Yeah.
fun to
flew
hang out
by
with
for 4 days.
everyone.
Well, so the event was on Sunday, and by that point, everyone is like,
Oh, that event. Yeah.
Jesus H. Yeah.
The
So
actual.
I mean, there's some of these runs were really, really sick to watch in person, but I also had a flight to catch. My flight got canceled and I had to get on an earlier one. So I was like looking at the clock every 2 seconds because it's Sunday. But
Yeah.
anyway, what was I going to say here?
Damn
Well,
Mustang
just
boy.
the driving level was fantastic, and it's a great. So obviously you're a big East Coast person, Sarah. How did you think the
Hmm.
Midwest driving was compared to East Coast and
Um,
stuff?
I know there's like a huge rivalry. I can pick out some like amazing driving on both parts, but I would say just like the style and the chasing at this event was bananas. And this particular battle that we're watching right now, Morlock and I forget what the Mustang guy's name was, Marshall, I think. Marshall.
Hmm.
Marshall was just gapping everybody because that car is gnarly. And obviously
Like
like
350.
uh that doesn't like it's not conducive to good drifting as far as like close tandems and excitement goes. And then all of a sudden he gets Morlock, which everyone's like, okay, he's gonna get his ass kicked because as far as I know, that is like not as much horsepower as the
Right.
Mustang. And not only does he chase him hard, but he like gaps him in the lead, and we were like, oh my god, give it up to him.
Yeah.
Like that
I
was sick.
yeah, I'm assuming it was a tire thing on that point, but maybe. But yeah, no, I would say majority of these runs were like doors. There were a
Yeah.
bunch of people that hit each other just dooring, especially at this final corner was a fun place to watch.
Hmm.
Guys tap each other's doors. Like
Yeah.
it's fantastic driving, and I think
Thanks,
that
Phil.
these guys really should be proud for the
Yeah.
event they put on, the level of drivers that they've curated over the years. It's
Yeah.
seriously, it's no joke. Like it would be really fun to see some pro level drivers get in some reasonably priced cars, kind of like these,
See if they can hang.
and see how
Because
they would
it's
do.
not
You know?
like it's not judged the same as FD competition. That was like the number one thing. So there wasn't really there was zones in a loose sense, almost like the gambler has that reference point when you transition down from the hairpin before you go onto the bank. So like they were looking for the driver to be on a certain line, but it wasn't like, oh, he left the zone earlier, oh, he ended the zone later, whatever. It was more like, is this driver on a really good line? Is it stylish? Like, is he have a lot of speed? Is like Roy chasing Cash here is nuts. So I don't know. It was really, really a lot of emphasis on style and like aggressive driving and exciting driving, which I thought was unique and really cool. I think this is the only competition where, you know, they really put the emphasis on style above almost anything else.
Yeah, their car style definitely has improved. The only
Well,
one that I used to enjoy was Dirt back in the day.
They
yeah,
also like your car has to look nice. So you better come out with like you better start the comp with all your bumpers on, and you know they had a car wash there. Like you're supposed to make sure your shit is tight, right? Like
Yeah,
they don't
hell
want
yeah,
ugly cars or you're
hell
getting
yeah.
kicked off track. There's some of the books you were talking about.
yeah. So like,
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a couple. I mean, I think it's comparable to East Coast just from the footage I'm watching from you.
yeah,
I mean,
I
I think
think
it
I think
is
he breaks his
genuinely
diff here. The guy in the, or I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, or maybe it was the next
those.
battle. But
They
yeah,
have
so
good
like,
colors. That should be popping. That red be popping.
dude,
Hmm.
it looks so
That's
good.
Cornwell.
Yeah, and then that's
Yeah.
Colton's car is the red one, and he's had that
Yeah,
thing
with
for a
that,
long time.
with the
Uh,
headlights on coming at
mm-hmm.
that last corner is
Yeah.
nice.
And
Yeah,
everybody's got like
yeah, mate.
two.
And then you see
From
how
the,
they enter up on the wall there. It's a really tricky entry. You
it
see,
definitely
Yes.
is.
obviously Colton messes
Especially
up there.
it does make it hard for a chase driver. Um,
Yeah,
So the way to do the entry to do it properly is to enter a little bit later than you think. Like don't get excited and enter
right.
early. Stay really high on the bank and like drop down late. So you stay nice and wide on that and don't
Yeah,
chop
you ride
the
it.
yeah.
You get up on that, like, because there's always a flat point up at the top of a wall. And everybody
Ah.
forgets to think about that there is a flat point up against the wall, and you can put your tire right up against it for a little more contact patch.
mm-hmm.
And
Dude,
like,
Roy was ripping in the E46. He was
Yeah.
doing really good.
He is a pretty quick car. I mean, he was definitely no slouch. But I mean, the thing is for somehow you guys have really, well, Drift Indy, I guess, has really created a competition where there was literally like maybe one or two battles where the car ran away from the other car, and the
Hmm.
rest of them were all pretty even. And
Yeah.
I think you could, for the most part, argue that the driver just messed up their line and they didn't keep up. But like
Yeah,
a lot of these cars are in the 300 horsepower range, 3 to 4.
I
Yeah.
would say so.
Well, yeah, in between 2 and 4 is about where a lot of these cars are at, 200 to 400, and they all have to run 300 treadwear tires. But it's really cool that they've created a competition that actually it's not
Bring
a
them in.
drag race,
Nice.
Quiet.
What up,
but
Big B?
and like it, as you can tell, it creates fantastic driving, and they really focus on doing good lead laps here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where the yellow car breaks his. I think he breaks his diff, which is why he
Very
kind of
fair.
stops drifting.
Yeah,
But
we were like, what? Because he did so well against
yeah, he
Marshall in
stops
that
right here.
previous Mustang, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
there was
Yeah.
also some contact there as well. But it was really everyone was also really really sportsmanlike. So instead of the whole like
Hold on.
heavy competition vibe where like if you broke your car, you would just automatically call a comp timeout and like F the whole competition and try to fix your stuff. Like the one driver was like, I know I don't have another diff and I'm not even gonna like attempt it, like, and stop the entire show in the finals essentially. So
right. Yeah,
good for him.
yeah, and then this is just Cash, freaking doing his victory lap.
Yeah.
But so what did they do to make their cars match up? Tire size limit? I don't know. Is it? I don't
Yes.
think. Is there a tire size limit as well?
It's definitely a tread wear. It might also be a tire limit, but I know
Yeah.
they were also they were checking tires too,
Mhm.
just to make sure because they didn't want anybody accidentally leaving some of their fun tires on for the comp and
Yeah,
having
no.
like an.
Yeah, so it's 300 treadwear. I know that for sure. They
Mhm.
also have to have interior. Um, I don't know what else is
I
on.
mean, it's
There's
so
not, and it has the cars to look good, and you have to basically apply to even
yes,
try and compete. So you have
that's
to
what I was
like
gonna say.
submit a resume and all that kind of stuff. You
There
know.
is an approval process. Like they're not going to approve you if you know if you don't look good. But anyway, there's still like 60 to 70 drivers that show up to these events, which is the largest field of all of the grassroots stuff that I announce, which like love it or hate it, you like look at this chasing, guys. Come on. That's dope. um
It's funny because the Miata makes the Mustang look huge in
I
this.
know. So we were in a vantage point where when Cash transitioned behind him, like you couldn't even see the Miata.
Right.
um But yeah, so obviously they're doing something right if they get that field, like that much turnout of drivers. Also, I will say that they make an emphasis of like um, helping people who are in just like the regular Drift Indy
Sorry.
fun events, like encouraging and helping the drivers to come up into Street League. So it's kind of nice that they do that. For instance, the letting some of the drivers, giving them like a golden ticket to drive practice with the comp guys, sort of like, a nice,
Right.
easy transition into that. Maybe that's why they have such a huge field, but that's pretty successful if you ask me to
Well,
get
I
consistently.
think it's the cost effective too. Like the guy in the orange cars is not a crazy. It's just a regular Z, and then the Miata I think's turboed, but like
Yeah,
they're not crazy expensive
That's
builds to
like
be.
Casino Royale coming up this month.
true. Yeah. East Coast guys, if you're listening, make sure you show
That's
up.
part of my disappearance right there. But my buddy that is here, that the house I'm staying at, one of them, he is entering his first competition. His first ever true competition ever will be the Casino
Oh
Yay.
dang!
Royale. Yeah, so that's what we were just talking about because he's trying to get his Hydra set up, and we have a track day this Sunday. So
Yay. That's awesome.
yeah,
And you know what I say about hydros, right?
I
They're
don't
you don't
know.
need one to drift, but it's like trying to eat soup without a spoon.
Well,
Like it fucking helps.
his stock one shit the bed.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I was like, once that does, I'm like, that's when he switch because
Excuse you.
the stock S chassis one is like above all. It is like the best. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie,
Eh,
it is really good. What
I
do you
mean,
mean? It is
My-
really good.
I've always had cars that had cables stretched out, and I also have these like tiny girl arms, so I can't really pull it. It's easier to just use the old bicep to lock her up.
Yeah, that's true. But now he needs a reservoir. So, and he needs another axle. So if anybody's watching and has a S chassis axle that's nearby in New Jersey, that would be great.
I'll check the garage. I don't think I have any extras, but I'll check.
I know Hop has a bunch, but he's stockpiling them.
Does he need a? Text me if it's a 5 bolt or a 6 bolt. I'll take a look.
Okay.
Nice.
He's had a bad last week. He blew out 4 hubs within 30 minutes of driving because he had axle spacers on, and then
Girl.
with the hydro spacer, like the caliper mount. Wait, we didn't know.
What?
Mean girl.
Cut it out, Exhibit. What is it? Yo, dog, I heard you like spacers. So we got a spacer for your spacer.
Well,
So
we
you can
didn't
spacer
know.
while you spacer.
I'm this guy. Look, you put it on, Golden Boy. That's him.
Well,
This guy. Hey, this guy. 1 spacer per crew, okay? 1 fedora per crew. This isn't a house full of Cubans.
But I think today went well. I forced him basically to put it back on. Herbie drive bisex S13 when I have enough money to break anything that's in that car. So good 10, 12 years.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe this weekend though, honestly, if I get them oiled up enough, I'll be like, yo, man.
There we go.
I'm gonna try. I'm definitely gonna try to genuinely get behind the wheel of that thing. Matt, if you see this, please let me try once. I promise I won't put it in any fucking bad gear. I know the clutch. I know everything.
Herbie, why don't you just drive my car, dude?
Show up Sunday.
I'll take a look at what's really, really broken on it, and we'll see. But probably not.
I'll drive the balls off of that too.
You better be careful. My car is not to be taken lightly. Ask the kid who already put it in the wall. If you sleep on that thing, it's not like a BMW where you can be like this behind the wheel.
Oh,
Backtrack's hard.
No, it's not.
It's harder than front track.
I know it is, but it's not hard.
It's
if
not.
You have any bit of a brain cell.
I rip it. It's fine.
I know you do.
Coming in me,
I've
baby.
seen you do it. I've seen you do it. You were on a private day, and I was like, "Oh shit, look at her."
I got so much better since if that's a day you're referencing, the day where I was like,
well, no, your car basically blew up on that day.
Well, I cracked the oil pan and there was just a puddle of oil everywhere, and there's a picture of me just like in my beanie, like existential dread. It's somewhere. I'll post it on my story later for the 3 people that are watching. But I've gotten so much better at driving since that day.
All right. Well, I haven't seen you drive at all, so I'm not downing it, but
yeah.
Well,
anyway.
All of it.
Kart Comp is on the kart track at Englishtown.
What
it's
day
like,
is it?
Let me
look. You got that on your thing because you have to probably announce it.
I am announcing it. I forget when they said.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, and I think Drift Appalachia is 2 weeks from now. But is there another comp this weekend? I can't remember.
Yeah, the Gambler.
That's right.
Gambler
that's right.
this weekend. Gambler. I'm gonna look on Instagram because I didn't put the date in my calendar like a goober head.
Sean, if you know the date, put it in the goddamn chat.
But
he's in that Hot Boy S13 with a stock.
October 26th.
Okay, gotcha.
October 26th. All right.
Yeah. So what's kind of cool is how many comps there are out there. Like,
yeah, truly, if you want it, it is there. It's a matter of like, you guys spend a lot of fucking money if you want to do a bunch of them because
right.
Like, east to mid to west, like
right.
If you could hit like,
but there's levels like right in the Gambler. There's small tire and big tire, so
right.
Yep.
I feel like there's different levels that you can get into.
And
what's interesting is, am I correct in saying that there's more cars in small tire than big tire?
Always, yeah, almost double sometimes.
Yeah.
And
But the
you see
payout
that,
for the big tire one is crazy because
right?
Yeah.
I think Sarah and I said this before. Like, if you whatever you spend to enter to get into the high roller class is
Hmm.
like you get it all.
Yep.
Right.
So the
Well,
house takes nothing.
hmm
Yeah, if you get 100 drivers that show up,
Whew.
good golly.
but
Oh
what
my
I'm,
God. Hold
but
on.
Buy strike, my rates went up. That's crazy.
but what I'm saying is it's interesting to see, like with Drift Indy Street League, we have a 60 plus driver field that wants to drive, and you have a bigger class, small tire class. It almost seems like, and like you guys remember how big Clutch Kickers was, and how big those
Mhm.
fields were, and and Clutch Kickers didn't really have any restrictions. It was more the course that was the big evener in
Right.
that competition, but it seems like these more limited class competitions are really possibly the bigger draw, in my opinion, to a competition style of drifting. It may not be the most flashy, but it seems like it's kind of like, if you were to start your own competition series, I wouldn't be doing an FD license series. I would do something what Street League is, where there are some pretty big rules on what you can bring and how. In like my what I would love to see is to you have to do a top 16 competition on the same set of tires, and that would be like the
That's
rule.
okay. Ready for this? So that would be US Drift Street Legal, which I also
Okay.
announced for. Their rule is,
This is
are you
rigged.
ready for this?
No.
You get one set of tires for the entire competition.
Is it a top 32 or top 16?
There you go, Sean. That's for
It's
you.
it's a top 16. It's
Gotcha.
literally
Do
one.
they make any exceptions for like a bunch of one more times or anything, or
Nope. You
dang?
better
Okay.
have a car that lasts on tires. Now, what I will say, I
Want
know
some
there's a tire
15s.
restriction, and my Kendas were like not sponsored by anybody or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
these Kendas, even with my like almost 400 horsepower car, and I got a heavy foot, baby, those will last me like so many laps.
As long as you
So
heat cycle them, right?
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they get a little greasy if you keep going back to back to back.
Right.
But
Yeah. Stockade to the top, baby.
I like how confident you are. I cannot wait. Have I met your friend before? You didn't say his name.
Sean.
Okay, don't think I've met him, but he seems cool.
No, he's a good 18s. He's a fucking idiot.
Sir, 18s on a stock KA?
Dude, he makes it work.
No wonder you're breaking everything. Okay, what size tires? Comment what size tires.
Oh my
Two
God.
15s, I think.
Okay,
Two
all
fif-
right.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'll
The
back
They're-
thick
down.
boys.
If he was like 265s, I'd be like,
Oh well,
get
yeah,
out.
they are. That's what he drives on day to day.
Oh my
That's-
God.
Yeah, he'll slide it on the 265s.
Oh my
It'll
God.
slide, but like, you got to think about what you're putting that.
He's got a 4.9.
Okay.
So she loves it. Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh my
Amazing.
gosh.
Amazing.
No, it is, but it is interesting to compare and contrast. Like, think about, what the essence of drifting is as well. Like, it came from a low power cars driving down mountains, getting sideways, and
Mhm.
it maybe is something to think about, even from like an organization like FD, of like, I know you have your Prospect series, but let's be honest, the Prospect series is still extremely high end and hard to get into.
Yeah. Which
What would be a huge like giant series that they could do that's going to be like a street league, And I'm sure like Drift Indy and those guys don't really want competition. They're like, we got a great series going on. We don't need the competition. But like,
I don't
like,
even think it's
seriously,
that.
though, it's
They
like,
just don't like the FD vibe like at all. Like
Right.
everything that's cool in FD, they're like, don't like it. Which to me, I really enjoy seeing multiple sides of the world of drifting. And I think it's good to have all these different perspectives. Like some guys are just like, no, we only like the Appalachia events, like the mountain driving. We only like the really stylish stuff. We only go to
So
final
good.
bout and like
Yeah.
F competition. And there's the other guys who are like heavy into competition, and there's everything in between. And I think the variety is what makes it so great. So that's just
Yeah.
me, though.
And like, I think these competitions are like the ones that Street League does are just so great to see.
We
Look at
need
that
'em.
chase.
I mean, the people need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you can't just go from one to the other. You know,
No.
you go through elementary school to high school, and wait, did my headphones just
No,
disconnect?
you're good.
No, you're good, bud.
Well, it just gave me the icon on the side. Sorry. But anyways, you go from like all that, and like in high school, you take like college prep courses, whatever. You take AP, whatever that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the same thing. Like you can't just like we can't just deep six the little guys. Like
Yeah.
that's what, like I'm all about comp driving and like 1,000 horsepower and everything. And it's like, guys, I don't hate you. Like
Right.
what the fuck?
Right.
I like both, honestly. And
I
if you
love
think
both.
about it, like
The
compare it to
driving
another
is always
sport.
better.
So, you know, if you're going to be a professional football player, you don't just go from high school. You have to go through, you have to get drafted. You go through college. You could play 4 years in college. You get drafted in the NFL, that kind of thing. You have a rookie year.
And
It's,
people always say that college football is better than the NFL.
yeah, my
And
dad is one of them.
and it's the same thing with this. It's like, wow, the driving is so much better in like the lower ranks. It's like, yeah, because everybody can drive their car.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's not anything against the drivers, but like you have to make that next step up. And it's
Yeah.
hard to drive. It truly is. Like it's not like it's the same thing for a collegiate fucking football player. Like you can't
Yeah.
just go to the NFL and be the starting lineup. Like
Right.
it's not. That's not gonna happen. I don't
Right.
care.
Yeah, no,
Like
I
yeah, it
agree.
does happen every once in a blue moon. And that's Ben Hobson, that's Tommy Lemaire, that's Connor O'Sullivan, that's Dimitri. Like
Oh,
you know,
okay,
like
hold on, because Connor will drive. Connor has driven a ton of like grassroots comp events and
yeah.
stuff. So
and that's like the pro players that'll still go to their like local spot. You
yeah,
know,
well,
like
Chelsea came and drove the Gambler too.
absolutely.
So did
Yep.
Pat Gooden. Shout out to the boy.
Yep. And like, you know, pro basketball players or football players, like they show up to their local, like their hometown shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, let's play some ball, whatever, you know, like
Yeah.
they're there for the sport rather than like
Right.
anything else. And I like that's what really shines, I think, with these better drivers is the fact that they want to win to the point that they keep playing no matter what the scenario is, whether it be 1,000 horsepower or 300 horsepower. It's like I want to drive, like
hmm
like Dylan Odie now with his like E46 that he's got. Matt Field has his party car. Like all these dudes, like they show up to all these different events and they
Yeah.
have a good time.
I love it. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
parts about
I
it.
mean, I
all
guess
about
you could say the LZ comp is kind of a little bit like this as well. That the
Sure.
one that they do is
Yeah.
all those
I
guys
was
are in
gonna
their
mention
parties
that,
cars.
but
Yeah.
like since it's so new, it's like
Mhm.
it's hard to say that it's like a similar thing because
Yeah, it's not really
they're finding their niche.
it's
a little
not a
bit.
regulated comp. It's more of like a YouTuber showcase, you know.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say that. It's
Yeah.
more of a
Yeah.
showcase, but still it's everyone shows up with that mindset. So they show up where they're like, this is all my homies, like big YouTube homies from the internet. We're gonna throw
Yep.
down. If I win, cool. If I lose, whatever. It's not that like cutthroat tooth and nail competition that we see in pro and pro spec, like where dudes historically are tattletaling on other dudes for like gluing tires and all
Yeah.
that stuff, right?
And
Right.
yeah.
No,
So
it's
this weekend you're gonna have a bunch. You're gonna have Osoli, Trevor Root, Ricky, Matt, Alex. Yeah.
I think it's
So
a good thing because if you're taking comp seriously, driving with guys who drive at a pro or pro spec level is only going to make you a better driver. So everyone
same
who
thing.
tries,
Like
I'm
Sorry.
not saying that you're crying, but everyone who's like historically was like, oh, they let pros in there. Yeah, that's how you get better is you drive with a guy who's better than you.
Yeah, literally. It's the same thing with dirt bikes. I was always told when I would go out on practice time, it's like go ride with the 450 guys as I'm on an 85. And it's like, well, you're only going to be as fast as the guy in front of you. I'm
Right.
like, well, damn. Damn. You're right.
That I can't wait till I'm good enough for A group because I really, really want to start like chasing in tandem because I've tandemed before. By no means was I like getting doors. I was mostly just like going with a car that was really not matched to me and I'm like way ahead of them or way behind them kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that. That's my next step in my driving career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there's definitely the progression system that you have to do, but like I said, some people just will never want to make the jump. They'll like this type of drifting. They'll think like this is the pinnacle for them, I guess you could say. And some
Right.
people, this level is like, you can go drive to this event. Some of these guys literally drove their cars to this event this weekend and brought a set of tires and ran them for the weekend,
Mhm.
So
The
for some,
280Z, he got a flat in his battle and he respectfully bowed out because he did not have another set of tires, like period.
yeah,
Damn.
Just no more wheels.
Damn.
That's what was on his car.
that dude was driving on cords
That's
all weekend, I swear.
He was ripping.
280Z?
Yeah, he got knocked out in top 32. It's a sweet
Damn.
car.
You're just
Yeah.
playing back the same video. You only got the 280Z in this video?
No, I don't. I only have 16 in this one. I'm posting 32 tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Oh, see, we gotta wait. He doesn't even show us the goods.
I'm lazy,
know.
okay? Just give me a break. I got other things I gotta do.
But no, to your point, it's correct because I'm a perfect example. I'm completely fine with what I'll achieve with my car. I don't have any desire to do competition. I
Yeah.
want to, my goal, my pinnacle of driving is to be able to tandem with my friends. That's it. And that would be great.
That's all I would want to do.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, yeah, I do want to do some comps, but like the casino or gamblers or whatever. That's all. I do want to do gamblers. More than anything.
I've thought about it too, just for the simple fact that the registration cost is
Sarah,
not.
wrap your car.
Oh my God, stop. I'm so bad at wrapping it, Malik. I wish you could see it in person because it's half wrapped and she's a 50-footer. 50 feet, 50 miles an hour, dude. Looks great. Up close.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
No,
You would do fine in a comp.
It's just so much seat time. Like think about it. Like I think about it as so. Sure, I show up to the gambler with my car. Obviously, as long as I can pass tech, I get to do as much seat time as I want, and maybe I don't even qualify. Who cares?
You will though, because
I don't think I can hit any zones.
Well, I mean, not enough people come, so I mean, you would qualify.
True. I would feel so bad for.
I hate to say that, but
yeah.
it is what it is.
Well, you know what? Maybe I should show up because people can see like, oh, this chick is here. Oh, I can definitely make it.
yeah.
I mean, yeah. All right. Yeah, come to your local gambler, fucking do some laps, get some seat time, because that's really what it is. That's why I would spend the money to do a comp without ever really driving, because I want the seat time. You get so much at a competition.
So much. And the grid is a lot smaller.
FD. Yeah. Like, damn.
All right, guys.
He's bringing up FD.
I am bringing up the fun topic I wanted to talk about today. And that is...
Hold on. I hate this topic.
Where did he go? What happened to him?
I think he either had to pee or he needed a beverage. One or the other.
Oh, he probably needs a beverage to talk about this. It's the old FD versus Driftmasters. And the reality is, and before we even get into this conversation, one doesn't need to be better or worse than the other, because the main goal is to just make them both better. But
right.
The main goal, I think, of this discussion is not necessarily to rip on any other organization, but more to find where each one could get better in certain scenarios or different areas. And that's kind of the biggest thing that I've seen that people highlight. Obviously, made a post, and there was one guy on there. His name was Eric Automotive. Had a really cool explanation on how he kind of sees the different series, and it's kind of true. I think for a lot of it. So I was just gonna read it here.
Okay.
He said the comparisons are remarkably similar to the NBA and the FIBA. And NBA is known for athleticism, star power, and player-friendly culture. On the other hand, Euro basketball is viewed as more pure because they tend to rely on fundamentals over star power and raw athleticism. FD and Drift Masters aren't much different. FD is a platform for the drivers. Yes, it's about winning, but it also exists to grow programs, sponsorships, social reach. They rely on huge power to generate the most exciting racing they can, and to me, it's where it's to him he sees like a lot of like NASCAR would kind of is like rubbed off on them a lot. And then you have, on the other hand, you have Drift Masters is the best fundamental execution of drifting in the world, and it's focused on the purity of drifting, great driving, stylish, unique cars with lesser known names and sponsors. FD is has the star-studded cash and the high dollar programs, while Drift Masters is more for those that want to be the most technically proficient drivers in the world. I personally think they can coexist just fine and actually support each other, much like the NBA and FIBA do. He says, "Thank you for attending his TED Talk." But
Dude,
I thought it was a
I'm gonna
freaking
just like, that is perfect. I couldn't even put it better myself. I don't know if I would agree like one is star-studded over the other because I think they're both star-studded, but I get his point. And I completely am here for like the more series, the better. The more professional drifting, the better. The more we can grow this sport, the better. So I didn't
well,
even take the poll because I won't choose.
well. And the thing is what he was trying
I
to get
didn't.
at was is they focus on two different things in for their series.
Right.
And I mean the challenge is okay, so what's most important to you? Like is the small chance of making a living doing the sport, is that kind of what you want to do? Because FD is going to be the better option for potentially doing that. Theoretically. But then you also have drift masters where it's like he says it's seen more of the drivers sport side of the or drivers, I guess, what's the word, like it's more of the driver focused competition where this actual sport of driving is a lot highlighted, maybe possibly a little bit better, and there's different factors contributing to that. So the one of the biggest criticisms, or I guess positives, for Drift Masters that I've seen a lot of people comment about is the live stream. And we've had this conversation before. It's not it's a very different sponsorship scenario when you look at FD versus Drift Masters, which we've already gone over, but it's the whole thing that since Red Bull is the one that puts on the live stream, it's going to have Red Bull money in that live stream.
Yep.
FD obviously puts on their own live stream. I can guarantee you, if Drift Masters didn't have Red Bull as their main sponsor and they had to put on their own live stream, it would look very similar to what FD's looks like.
Absolutely.
So that is obviously just, I think, the nature of circumstances on the difference between that two. The interesting point that would be fun to talk about is the driving styles, and what would what kind of contributes, I think, to the driving styles as well is the rules that are in each sport, because they're different. Over in Drift Masters, you can have a much lighter car, and there's some other tires that are really grippy that are not allowed to be running in
Yep.
FD, and you have to have a certain weight class to run a certain tire size in FD. So, just from Animal Z's words, for example, he says in um, Drift Masters, the cars are a lot faster, a lot grippier than they are in FD. Even though FD, you're making a lot of those guys are making more power than the guys in Drift Masters. Not by much, probably just 1 or 200 more on average. But
Yeah.
Um,
It's a
there's
lot.
yeah, I mean when you're
1 or 200 more horsepower is a big
It
jump.
is a lot.
well when you're talking the difference between 1200 and 900 or even
Yeah.
1100 and 900. I mean, there's guys
I
that can
went
compete in the same class with that difference, but
250 to 380-ish, and it was like
well,
Aladdin. A whole new
Well, yeah,
world.
that's like
you
that's
have to
night and
look at
day.
the percentage of horsepower of change. Ding dong.
True.
That's like you're in an 80-mile-an-hour zone, like on the highway, and
Yeah.
then you're doing 90 compared to like doing 70 in the 60. It's
Yeah.
different. Like the cops are gonna look at you differently. It's a ratio.
They
Yeah.
always
like-
look at me differently. Second I leave the driveway in the 240, dude.
I bet.
Just keep your hands on the wheel.
Officer, keep your hands on the wheel.
But
That's you talking to them.
so another I guess talking point that I've seen is that Driftmasters tracks are smaller, they're more technical than FD's tracks, and I don't know if I necessarily really agree with that. I think they are. So you also got to remember, Driftmasters is only 6 rounds, FD's 8 rounds. I think if you took out a couple, like if you picked your favorite 6 FD rounds, I think you'd get really comparable tracks to what Driftmasters does. Because Driftmasters.
All right, let's pick our favorite FD rounds.
Well, like let's say you wanted to throw out Orlando
Everyone.
and Utah, because those are the 2 big ones. Or like, I mean, Orlando's a lot of fun because it's super
I'm
close
throwing out
tandems.
Orlando and St. Louis.
Okay, Orlando.
St.
but-
Louis is kind of ass. I do
Yeah.
agree.
But
Sorry.
I like that. I do like that track, but I hate
right.
hate that
But then
track.
you get a track like, for example, Riga. That's just as
Yeah,
fast as Utah, if not
Yep.
faster.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't think I don't know if the tracks are necessarily more technical. Or you get a track, even an entry at what's the one in Ireland that they run? Why am
Mandela.
Yeah, Mondello. That's a super
That's
fast
a big
entry
one.
as well.
That's a fast one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, depending.
what's that?
I guess they're always fast because Mandela has 2 different layouts.
The one they run in Driftmasters is usually the same, isn't it? If I remember correctly.
I don't think so. I
But
think that they have done differently, but it is top of 4th typically, 120
Yeah.
mile an hour.
and honestly, I think New Jersey's the smallest track out of all of the professional drifting tracks that they do.
I think you're right.
I think it's smaller
By
than
a lot.
all of the tracks that they run in Driftmasters. So technically would be maybe the most technical. I don't know if it'd be the most technical, but it's probably very similar to the stadium layout, just without an extra turn.
It's very technical because it's got 2 different types of
Surfaces.
what you drive on. Yeah, surfaces. You got asphalt and concrete, and you go over the big hump in the middle where the concrete is.
Yeah, Malik
There's
said
like-
Yeah, Malik is also like Spain was super fast. I forgot about Spain. Yeah, Spain was super fast
Yeah.
too. So
Mhm.
I don't even know if the tracks, you can really argue that the tracks are even more or less technical. I think each round has good and bad tandem tracks. For example, I don't think Spain was a great tandem track, and I don't think Utah is a great tandem track. They make it work and they make it look good, but it's usually you have to get to like top 8 before you're really getting like these really good battles for some of these tracks.
I wonder if like keeping tracks like Utah or St. Louis or whatever and just changing the layout would help.
Well, yeah, you could always
sure.
change layouts to make them
But then
better, but
the
better.
spectator.
Yeah,
thing is
your
what
issue is the
Right.
spectators. But like what I'm saying is the drift that I've heard that the FD tracks are faster and they're bigger, and then like you have the
Right.
technical tracks of Drift Masters, and I don't really think that argument really holds up anymore. I think there's a good variety in both organization,
Yeah.
and I think what you see is Drift Masters is a lot better presentation of the tracks.
Well, and
They also
they're not ovals.
Right.
That's the difference. Is
they
that
also have like way more zones. There's
yeah,
like smaller and there's more of them. So there's more points to like hit your points, I guess. Does not even make any
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Rather
have
than
to
those
be there.
FD like massive outer zones that we're used
Big
to seeing.
sweepers and
Yeah,
things
like
Yeah.
a
like that. Yeah,
Seattle or a yeah, like I mean it's true. Like the one thing is FD does have 3 oval tracks, and if you want to
I
count New Jersey,
I
then it's
liked
4.
Utah's first year where they had that inside clipping point or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I know a lot of drivers hated it. I liked it. I thought that it was like, oh, well, it's hard to get out. Well, it's like, okay, we'll throw it backwards and then fucking drive in.
I think a
Like,
lot of everybody loved the year that they had entry speed up in Utah.
yeah, it was up until this year. It was the past 2 years that they had it,
Yeah.
and they took it away.
Well, I think if you want to think about the oval tracks in FD as like the boring ones where they don't present well, like okay, but the Utah track's beautiful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
but maybe I guess
Utah ain't oval.
yeah. So but if you look at the Drift Masters tracks, I just think the presentation is so good that they make these venues look amazing. Granted, they have some
Mm-hmm.
really cool venues that have some cool aesthetic to them. Like one's at a amusement park. Obviously, you have the stadium,
Yeah,
and they just have some really cool venues that look cool. And then, for example, you see the fire in the background and the fireworks and all
hmm
this kind of stuff. So I think the presentation is where people are kind of getting the better tracks argument a lot of the time.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the feng shui.
Yeah, it's got this. It's fun to watch. It's cool, and the driving is fantastic.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
Right,
The
and
feng shui.
Then the feng shui. I love feng shui because it's like, you know what? Maybe it's the dresser in the corner that's making me sad. Maybe it's
Maybe
not my life, dude.
I'm about to choke on a fucking rainbow goldfish.
Unreal. No, I get what you're saying about Drift Masters though. But I like that one point, the comment that you read out about just both being able to exist in their own right. I like that a lot.
yeah,
I think that FD could do a track in a stadium like Poland because they got Englishtown and there's like one other like true soccer stadium. I mean, there's multiple stadiums. Obviously, you got Sophie Stadium, you got Citibank Stadium, you got the Barclays Center, you
Are you just
got.
naming?
But like, I mean,
there. Yeah,
where
you
could
could
we
do a
actually
soccer
like? I
stadium
mean,
pretty easily.
yeah,
Not easily, but you know what I'm
the
saying.
money though,
Mm.
they would have to take a risk and a half and
Hmm.
promote the fuck out of it
Yep.
from the beginning of the year and be like the biggest drifting event of all years. Like
They'd have to
with it.
pair it with other stuff like the dirt bike stuff that Drift Masters
Uh-huh.
does. They'd have to have another part of the show. They'd have to
hmm
pick whatever market they have that's the biggest, start with that one and promote it more,
Probably
like so
be
that you have a better
California.
chance. Right,
Yep.
probably be California, more turnout.
hmm
And they'd have to like get a stadium to agree to it. That would I think would be the hardest part. Oh,
Yeah.
MetLife, gross. I hate driving to that one.
So, one of the things that I noticed was pointed out, Drift Masters does the whole thing where the drivers get out and kind of congratulate each other on the
And
run and
hug.
whatnot. I really like
Love
that.
that
I
part.
think it gives personality, at least a little bit, to the drivers when they're
Yes.
doing the battles. You see them when they're excited, and because a lot of the time, let's say in FD, when they pick a winner, you can't see inside the car. You can't see them celebrating. So it gives
Right.
a more human element. I really like that. So I hope that's something that FD starts to adopt. moving forward. I don't know if they're
Totally.
I don't know if they're told not to get out of their cars, but it would be. I just think it would be a nice touch. Um, the judging. I've seen a lot of compliments towards the judging of uh, Drift Masters compared to FD.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm curious on maybe why you think that is. Do you think it's just because? Well, I have a theory, but I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are, kind of on that.
That's hard for me because I really only ever watched, like, sat down and watched one round of Driftmaster. So I don't know if I'm the best to compare because I don't really know as much about the drivers as I do about FD kind of thing.
Okay.
So I honestly couldn't tell you why everyone thinks the judging is more fair over
Okay.
there than over
Well,
here.
well, I just think they do a really good job at explaining their calls, or at least a better job at explaining their calls than FD does, and I think that's why people like understand their call better, or they think the judging is better, and that's kind of been one of
Mhm.
my criticism with FD in the past. Is just they don't always usually explain why a judge. It's very rare that they actually put a judge on the actual screen, and
Yeah.
we got Herbie back. He
Can you hear me?
left.
So now my AirPods died, and I had
Uh,
to do
gotcha.
a
Yeah.
double whammy.
Oh, you're good. All right. So I'll ask you the question, bud. Why do you think why do you think people in general seem to like the calls better in Drift Masters than they do in FD, or they think the judging in a way is better?
I think that the drivers don't leave the judging in their hands. Honestly,
Ooh, I like that.
I think most of the time the driving speaks for itself. Whereas in FD, there's a lot of times up until like the top 16 where it's like, well, this guy made the mistake in his chase, but this guy made the mistake in or their lead or whatever. Like this, that, the other thing. Like, oh well, they wavered. Oh, they lost like distance in between like the lead driver. Well, like this, that, the other thing. I think that Drift Masters genuinely overall the calls aren't made fun of or whatever because the drivers just do a good job or their cars break literally. Like I mean, like they don't get a timeout. They
Right.
got 2 minutes on track to be like, I can't do it, boss. Sorry.
That's a good point. I wonder if no timeouts would fix the
it,
situation.
it would definitely help the spectator stand by as well. I mean,
It's
my mom already is a bigger fan of Drift Masters after one round that she watched online.
Yeah, and that's another one of the points that I was going to get to is just the run of the show is just fantastic, and that is one of the big reasons why. But before I get over to that point, I just personally one of the reasons I feel that Drift Masters, the judging is perceived to be better is because I feel like it's easier to understand the rules.
They do come back, and they always set a judge down. They put
Mhm.
him right down there. They're like, "Yo, why?" And like I know that they do that with Eggert, and they do that
But
with
not very often.
what's not often. Every like I love to hear Reese's voice
Mhm.
like
yeah.
on there and like actually be the word of reason.
Mhm.
And there it is. There's my mom. But
um
yeah, I think that like the Drift Masters like after each like tough battle, like where they're like nuts to butts because there's no one more times. It's just you get what you get.
It
And
seemed to me also like FD is always like waiting for technicalities. Does that make any
yep.
sense? So
Oh, absolutely.
they'll be like, "Oh, well, did he technically lift out of
Yeah.
throttle in that turn or did the other
They're
guy technically hit him?" Like that kind of thing. There's
they're
always like
waiting for that one more time. Literally, they're waiting for that extra chance to one more time it to extend it to run another ad, to do that, to do this.
see, I don't know. Wouldn't think that they would want the show to be longer because it's too
They
long as it is.
It's
Well,
not clearly this whole past year they've ended an hour before each round. Basically, over average, they've ended an hour earlier than what they were supposed to.
Wow.
I would
Okay.
have to say off the top of my noggin, it's like an average an hour earlier,
well,
and
I
they're not
I
getting to run their ads.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm not saying FD necessarily pays or has favorites, but like there's definitely it seems like some of the time that and this is my problem with that and kind of was trying to get at was the FD rules. In my opinion, I've gotten way more murky this year, way more gray and less black and white. Um, to where they can now look at scenarios and kind of judge something maybe a little bit more heavily than say other times. Like the whole idea of you can drive straight for 2 seconds and it's not a zero is
Oh
still
Now it
God.
changed to one, and then it
okay,
changed to one
but
halfway through the year
but
Well,
somehow.
because
it's
people
But
were up in
that's what I
but
arms.
mean.
it's still
But like
insane to me.
that's how murky it is because we still think that it's 2 seconds, but halfway through the year they change,
But
and all of a
still,
sudden it's
the
1 second.
idea is that it's a lot easier to say, "Oh, his wheels went straight. That's a zero," and it's just way
Yeah,
easier to call out something like that
yeah,
than to be like, "Oh,
you
okay.
would
So
think.
was it 1 second? Was it two? Was he reinitiated by the like? There's so many, or like the shenanigans that goes on with D beating now.
Oh my God.
You know, and like
Yeah,
how it's okay if it's this scenario, and then it's not okay if it's this scenario.
If it's
Um,
contact, he can change it, but he has to call a five. But if it's not contact and he DBs, you can't change it.
yeah.
Well, the other thing is like, is it because of the track, or is it because you're off track, or is it because you're on track?
True.
You know, like
True.
there's so many different scenarios, that it just seems kind of
Murky
it slows the show
again.
down, and
It's
then
murky.
yeah, it makes the rules harder to understand, um, and
You could play the story of whatever that the fans are like clearly like rooting for. It really comes down to like what the crowd noise is, and it's like, damn, do we really want the show to go on like this or like that? You know, it's like, mm, there was a call this year with in Prospect with Zendaya, and I forget who. I think it was at Atlanta. I think Asamada. Genuinely, I think
Okay.
there was a run between the two of them. Clearly, one is a better driver, and I'm sorry, Asamada is a better driver.
Well, he was third in the points. I think that's not a
Yeah, no,
controversial
but
thing to say.
I think that like, but earlier on in the season, like first round or whatever it might have been, and
you're talking the St.
he,
Louis call, right?
I maybe it might have been,
Against
and it
Zendara.
was
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was clear that he did not make good decisions in his driving,
Right.
but they gave it to him. And like ultimately, like in my head, I would have gave it to her.
Right.
Like, you know, but like I think that they had that gray area to choose. Well, we ultimately know what's going to be a better show for the people, and like what's, I don't want to say right, but like, you know, what's right here. Like
I hate
this
that.
was, it is, it's terrible. You know,
Yeah,
like
because they were able to use the rule that Zendara broke was got off throttle at the wrong spot, which they said then caused him to transition late and then hit the wall.
yep,
And so you can do that with this type of ruling in the gray areas that they've kind of created to where it's like instead of just saying, "Hey, the chase driver should probably just need to compensate for the driver that they're chasing." And
yep,
if you go into a wall because you badly timed a transition with them, then it's not your fault kind of thing. And
exactly.
so there's definitely arguments to be made for that kind of stuff. But I think you're right. I
Yeah.
think some of the time the
That's one
FD
that genuinely
FD
out of all rounds, a
that's
prospect run out of anybody sticks out the most to me, and I was like, damn,
That's funny.
she just got fucked. I'm like,
Well, I
damn.
mean, a lot of people think that Jonathan Hurst got fucked with James Dean in the very first round of the year.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
it's funny.
I think
Yeah.
that James Dean fucked Simon Olsen when he won that round.
Yeah.
Like
It's
there was
just
no shot.
I don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe it because I want it to be a true and pure competition. I love an underdog. So that like hurts my soul to hear. But I do see what people are saying where, maybe it's a conscious bias, maybe it's an unconscious bias. It does seem like they play a little bit of favoritism, which I know.
It's like you got 6 people that go up to the cops and tell them one thing, and then you got one guy that's telling them the right thing. Who are they gonna believe? You know,
Yeah.
it's like the same sort of thing. Like it's just the bigger hand is always gonna win. It's the same thing with money. It's the same thing with anything, really. And that's what really FD has come down to, unfortunately, where it's just the bigger hand is going to have more of a say rather than actual sport
Well, it
do
is.
the talking.
What I find interesting is whenever there is an upset, whenever there is a top level driver and they are obviously they lost whatever battle to say a lower level driver in the standings, it is always at least a 10-minute decision to make that call. It feels like it's never
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You know what? That's a good point.
Ryan Literal doing gangster shit, and they're like, let's run it back. Actually, it's like, yo, that motherfucker won, dude. Like,
So
he just put it down. Yeah, his motors stayed together. Actually, guys, believe it or not.
but it's just one of those things where I feel like there's a lack of black and white with a lot of the things in FD when it comes to the judging, and then the lack of explanations for a lot of different reasonings that they do.
Yeah, I
It
also
kind of gives
believe
a
that.
bad taste in people's mouth.
I think
You know.
I think Americans are just at heart a little more aggressive, especially like, and
Yeah.
I'm like I mean I'm one of them. Look at my one comment that I said. What did I say earlier? I was like, saying sorry is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's like we're all just aggressive dickheads,
I
So like
know.
ultimately, the American FD spectatorship, like the viewership, we're all just a bunch of trolls.
So do you
And then
think they're just gonna shit on the calls anyway, regardless of whether they try to
yeah,
make it better?
no matter what, they're always going to have way more trolls, despite the viewership being lower. The ratio, if you were to take the two, it's probably like 3% trolls over in Drift Masters, and like the rest is like, let's go, like that was sick, like I can't
Yeah.
believe it, like what
Yeah.
Oh, you got all the
And
nationalities over there, which is
yeah,
another big
and
difference.
everybody's like, yo, cool, man, like that shit was tight. But then
Mm-hmm.
like you come here and it's like, man, fuck you.
Well, I think Brandon brings up a really interesting point as well. He's like, you have to remember the social media following and sponsorship dollars and stuff, and you got to think every time Adam LZ gets knocked out, they lose a substantial amount of viewers on their live stream, and that's dollars, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
same with like a guy like Diego Higa, but it's
you
like,
remember when Adam got that really controversial call on him in Atlanta, though? That was against Adam.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, there's always factors that you can think about, though, to where, like, okay, who's the Rockstar drivers, because Rockstar sponsors FD. Like, there's always things that people are going to always say, no matter what.
Yep.
And so
Chris
you're
Forsberg
not.
gets the win.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't happen anymore.
I know.
Like,
But I'm saying, like,
never
that's
really
all.
did.
People are always going to have excuses, and they can say whatever they want and have what could seem like legitimate points. And I don't think FD helps themselves, especially with the rules and the lack of explanation, to where I think Drift Masters does a much better job at that kind of stuff. And like you said, the drivers tend to the lack of being able to fix your car like you can in FD also helps one the show run faster and decides more battles. Also, the the fact that they do go to the judges, it seems like a lot more to get explanations. I
Yeah,
think helps
and
a lot.
what you were saying with that is like if they do explain it better and make it more clear, there's less speculation that can occur, which in turn is less like pitchfork sharpening, which I think is like, you
Yeah.
know,
It's
It's true.
terrible.
my laptop's gonna die. I'm gonna plug it in. Keep talking, guys.
Go do
Okay. But yeah, I think Brandon's not glazing. He, Brandon knows more motorsports than I do, and that motherfucker's only 20 years old.
that. Right.
So I think what he has to say, saying that it has a better social following, nails the marketing side. It really does. Because it has to like claw and tooth and nail its way all the way up to the top. Whereas like you just got Red Bull and you just like tag Red Bull. And it's like, yeah, we did this. And you have all these different countries that are like, okay, I have a country backing. As long as I post enough content, I have this whole different culture backing me as opposed to like 50 states. Like, yeah, we're all tied together. Yeah, we're bigger than some of these countries, but like we got all these other motorsports that are like main things here. Like
Yeah, there's no like
NHRA, we got all this drag racing, Texas 2K, you like all these things. Like you got off-road racing, the Nora 400, 500, whatever it is, like the rallying, whatever, NASCAR. You got all these other things that us as Americans worry about, and that's why it's still considered the fastest growing motorsport in the United States.
yeah, it's true. And I mean, I'm just looking at a bunch of people here in the comments. I'm just trying to read them. Like from like you got James over here from what FD is. From what I see, FD is the underdog, has every opportunity to match up with the superior Drift Masters, but is consistently blows it with the structure and the fan letdown. And it's literally a lot of it's the run of the show, and
Yep.
you know it might be the biggest, in my opinion, it's the biggest difference between Drift Masters and Formula D is the run of the show. For me personally, and I think that is where the biggest positive and negative you can kind of take that I've noticed is how well Drift Masters runs their show and how strict they
Yeah.
are with the not fixing the car stuff, and being
Yeah.
there within
And
2 minutes.
like Malik said, I do agree, but that's what I mean, that their marketing is better, and that's what Brandon means, that their marketing is better because it does, like, it's a cutthroat type of thing where like you have to be showing out in FD like with your content because it's oversaturated as fuck. Whereas if you go across the pond, you could post like a sick drifting video at a competition and it's a totally different ballpark I'm at. Like, whether it be hometown or Drift Masters. I never ever see any videos of grassroots drifting competitions in the UK or any other country like Spain or anything like that that isn't like around like some city cone in like a fucking middle goddamn, like you got barriers on the side, like, you know, like that shit is like, so for them to grow over there is a lot easier, I feel like, as opposed to over here where we have all these different types of tracks, all these different types of people that are doing the same exact thing, and all these media people that are doing the same thing too.
Yeah.
We're also like, we're kind of in a corner as well because we're all three of us are Americans, so we get American media, and like
Right.
it might be completely different somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if I was in fucking Czechoslovakia, I'm sure that I would be like, dude, motherfucker, I'd be telling you, like, whatever it might be.
Oh no, it's getting racist again.
Well, I would, it would,
Oh, bye.
He'll be back.
YouTube's like, nope. He can't.
YouTube's like, we don't condone bad accents. We're gonna have to kick you out.
hello?
We
Hi.
can hear you, buddy.
All right. Well, I went black screen.
I know.
Yeah.
You literally were mid rant and YouTube just booted you out. But no,
Again.
I mean, I get what you're saying. It's like it's really tough to just compare them in general because it's too
That's
different.
why I voted Drift Masters. I did.
I didn't vote,
But
and you
Phil-
can't make me.
But
Phil
I'm not gonna.
Phil brings up an interesting question. Why do drivers from Europe go to the USA, but no one other than LZ has competed in Drift Masters? That like
Josiah, but he's
Money.
Canadian.
We're broke. I'm broke. All these dudes are
But
broke.
then the other
Everybody's
argument
broke.
is that the budgets are way bigger over here.
Yeah, but to get a car over there is crazy.
To do FD, the budget's massive. So once you do FD, there's nothing left to get all like shipping a car to
Okay,
Europe,
but let's say
almost
you
have to
didn't
have,
run
like,
FD and you went to run Drift Masters. Why do you
Only.
think? Yeah, so why do you think it is not as common for? It's way more common for someone over in Europe to go run Formula Drift than it is for an American or a Canadian. Granted, it's rare,
I think
but why?
think because the people know that the competition in FD is genuinely it's harder in a way. As fucked as it is, like we always see the battles in Drift Masters like door to door. It is door to door. But like when you come to FD, it's a totally different ball game. You're looking at different like the track.
cool.
Well,
Herbie's frozen again.
Yeah, I don't know what
I
he's doing
honestly
now.
think
I'm just keep my goddamn.
we
Keep my
get
mouth shut.
Batman Herbie now. We just get the voice, nothing else. I think budget probably has a lot to do with it. If you think about strategic, like, so the whole reason we got Adam LZ in FD this year is because his car like didn't arrive at the right track at the right time. So the logistics of getting a car overseas is gnarly. I think that's the biggest thing. So
Well,
like budget,
okay.
logistics,
But
you
I
almost
don't
have
know
to
if
build a
that
whole second.
I don't like that argument because there's a bunch of people over in Europe that come over here to drive, whether it's Federico, whether it's like James Dean. Now he drives for a team, obviously, so that's a different way to go about it. Or you got like last year you had the guy that Kelly that drove the Aston Martin. Before that you had like Masayama. You have obviously Minoa and Taguchi over in Japan. Like there are so many international drivers that are here in that come over to the States, but it's very few drivers in the States North American region that go over to drive Drift Masters, even though it seems like it's possibly the more perceived better series. And according to the poll right now, Drift Masters is up 68% over Formula Drift. So that's kind of the question, because I feel like the expenses to take a car from Europe and bring it over to the States or is similar to what it would be from taking a car from America and bring it over to Europe. Or you could do what, like, for example, what Taguchi and Manoa do and go find a car to drive over in the States. And why couldn't you do that and go do that in Europe? So I guess the question is why is that? Why?
I
Like,
mean,
why?
it could be regulations. Like, I don't know, like if you guys have ever been like into Europe, it's like completely different. I wouldn't even know where to start getting a car over there. Like trailer sizing is completely different. Like everything is different. I would say the logistics is probably the hardest part of like getting a car over there. Maybe there's more people willing to help in the US. There's more space, there's more like team availability. Whereas who's going to store your car in Europe? Who's going to get it to all the different rounds? Like that's
Yeah.
a daunting amount of information to try to figure out, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, but the people over in Europe or Japan just find a way to do it over here in America. You know? So
Yeah.
that's kind of my point is it's like it's interesting. It's an interesting paradox to where, at least according to our chat, which isn't maybe not all of drifting, but
Right.
it's similar to a sentiment that I've seen over the internet. And if Driftmasters are considered the higher level series or the better series, then why aren't we seeing more drivers from the Formula Drift side of things go over there? And we've seen way it's just a very interesting thing to think about.
My
And
money's
I don't
on
have the answer for
logistics.
that as well.
Or Driftmasters is they just kind of like have been on the come up recently. Maybe it's just too early to see
And
American
maybe we'll
drivers.
see more. It would be interesting
Right.
to see because I do think that you're right. I think we will see more American and Canadian drivers make the jump over to Driftmasters because let's say, hey, they did a couple years of FD or something. They're like, you know what, I want to go try something different, and they want to go
Yeah.
Yeah.
try. And I mean, obviously, that's why Josiah is over there. He wants to go
Yep.
drive a
Really?
different series.
It's
You know?
that and not the hard card gate.
Oh,
You know,
that might have something to do with it too. But,
semantics.
but
no hate, no shade. We love
But-
him. He's a good dude.
but like for real though, like there is a perfectly competitive series over there, and it's just an interesting thing that the only guy to do it is Adam LZ from America. Like that's kind of weird, you
Well,
know.
There's no question that Adam has the budget to do it. There's no question that Adam has the contacts over there for, oh, this garage build my car, this garage store my car, this person get it from event to event. There's no question that he has the most amount of like contacts and resources to lean on out of everybody in the field. So
Yeah.
like that's kind of a
think he's-
no-brainer to me.
I think he's definitely a hurting biscuit.
What does that mean?
That motherfucker is still like he is hurt. Like he needs to make money. Like I don't think that it is all roses for him. Genuinely, I think that he's working just as hard as a lot of other people.
Oh yeah,
It's
I'm not saying it comes
No,
easy. I just think he's got
yeah,
a big
no. Yeah, he definitely has a bigger budget than 98% of probably other people. But like, everybody knows that, you know. So now to keep that like, it's almost a facade now, because I know that like through this past year he had to have lost money. Like, there's no way around it.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely like spent a lot of money on traveling, building this, that, the other thing. I know his YouTube videos always do good, but not as good as probably what his budget is calling for, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like with all
never
the
know
expenses and everything. Like,
what someone else has got going on.
Yeah. Well,
I-
Jason makes a really good point. He's like, also, if you're an American driver, your sponsor will want to pay for American eyeballs. If you're competing at Driftmasters, you're competing 4 or 5 different countries that American sponsors don't care about. And that is actually a very good point, because if you think about any country that so think of any company that ships anything worldwide and sells product worldwide, where is your biggest market? It's America. On like, let's just face it, that's the reality. It has the most like the biggest buying power, as opposed to say different countries in Europe. So from a financial standpoint, that makes a lot of sense why FD would be a much more appealing series for sponsors than it would be necessarily would be for Driftmasters.
Plus, American culture is kind of like, thanks to the internet, it's everywhere. But I don't know if it goes the other way around. Like American music, American sports, I don't know if it really comes the other way as much, which I'm not saying is right.
No, very, very rarely does it. You know, do we ever get like a basketball player that's from fucking somewhere else other than America?
Or like even a
or
whole series, or, you know.
anything. Literally anything. It's just hard to, like, other than actors and actresses, like, very rare does it happen.
Yeah. It's good. It's good discussion, guys. We're really like getting deep over here. I never thought us three would
Getting into
be in
almost
these like deep like economic cultural conversations right now.
almost like politics right now. So who we vote for? No.
Leaves the thing. I'm gonna be voting for the nuke. I think I've seen enough, and I think we should just.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that style.
Yeah. I'm just
Luka
reading
Doncic.
some of
Yep,
these comments.
exactly.
Like there's interesting another point that one of the guys was talking about that kind of reminded me is it seems like the budgets seem to be a lot bigger over here in FD than they are over in Europe. Looks like a lot of these guys are running on shoestring budgets, or at least that's what I've heard over in Europe to run those series, as opposed to FD, where a good majority of the Pro 1 drivers, for example, have pretty solid setups or look like they have pretty solid setups. Not necessarily mean they're making money or that they have tons of money in the bank or anything, but it just seems like a lot of the competition in Drift Masters, they're not rocking with stackers and pulling up with giant trailers and stuff like that. You know, they have to kind of they're doing it a lot more on the economical scale.
It's so hard
but
for
that's
me
just
to.
yeah, it's hard for especially if you haven't seen a lot of it. But that's just sentiment I've heard over and that's comments I got on the post that I made earlier. So it's a different there is a different money level, and that it kind of goes with the sponsors, like the fact that America is a bigger eyeballs for sponsors than it is for Europe as far as like a buying power. So I think it kind of somewhat makes sense that the sponsor dollars are going to be bigger over in America than they are over in Europe.
It does make sense. It's personally hard for me to wrap my head around like FD drivers have bigger budgets just because all of who our friends are.
Right.
Like FD drivers are still pro spec drivers, and I see some of those dudes and like with so much love, their programs are very
right.
Like I was saying in the last podcast, it's like everybody's friend is their crew guy, and whoever can just show up is who's your crew that round. That's not very like big budget team.
But you got to remember, it's kind of hard to compare Pro Spec to Drift Masters. You know, it's
true.
You got to think about, you know, Drift Masters isn't Pro Spec. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I still think there's a few pro guys that are running on shoestring budgets, but I do get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I want everyone to know it's not everybody, right? Like there's a chunk that has a big budget, then there's a chunk that are like doing their best, and then there's a chunk that are like, "Are you okay? Your credit card it's smoking. It's actually smoldering. Like, are you all right?" There's a bunch of dudes dressed in black suits with Brooklyn accents.
The event for
they want to break your knees.
Yeah, we gotta head out the back.
Oh man, yeah. So, honestly, I think I had a lot of fun talking about this. It's an interesting topic to think about, especially when you start digging into the economic side of things, the marketing side of things, even like the run a show we talked about. So there's just so many different aspects that you don't think of when you first think of these two series. You're like, oh, this series is better because it has this, and it's like, honestly, there's a bunch of different factors that go into why the series is even like that, you know. And I guarantee you that almost pretty much everything we've talked about I'm sure has already been discussed with both series, and I'm sure they have their reasons for why they do certain things. I'm curious what I would be curious to know is like if their answer is, and it probably is no, is like, is the answer for why they do this specific thing really the actual answer of why they do it? And some of the times they're probably not going to tell you the true answer all the time, but that's just anything, you know.
I'll give you the true answer.
Yeah, you know. But
whatever I say is the right thing.
Right. But I mean, the reality is
for agreeing, because you know it's right.
But the reality is that FD or Drift Masters even isn't for everyone as well. Like, and that's why you have a series like Drift Indy Street League or this small tire class in the Gambler,
Right.
and why that gets a ton of attention as well. Not necessarily the biggest on social media, but like the actual driver counts are massive at these compared to
Yeah.
the higher levels of competition. So you
And
got to
I would
think.
almost venture to say, like, if you want to say out loud that you hate competition drifting, I would challenge you. Do you hate competition drifting, or do you just hate it at the highest level?
Or you
Have you
just a
not been
pussy.
exposed? Yeah. Have you not been exposed to the grassroots level? And if you hate grassroots competition, that you're a weenie, dude. I'm just gonna say it. Like, it's so fun. It's so welcoming. It's so open to everybody.
You even have
Like,
the
I'll
team.
die on that
You
hill.
even have team competitions like Final Bout and stuff
Yeah.
that are like.
And even freaking Final Bout is a competition, dude. Technically, it's a team competition of like who's the most stylish boy with the most shiny wheels. Like, good for you. Not my thing. Still love it. Like,
Yeah, Malik, we're a
Like,
long way away from that.
what did he say?
He's like drift team, Daily Driver Media drift team in 2029. I'm like, dude,
Who would be the
I'll be
driver?
there.
Who do you
Well,
think's the better driver between us? Herbie?
me.
Two hands
I'll
up.
pick me. No, but
I'm
like
picking me. I'll stand on business on that.
It ain't me,
that's
dog.
fine. That's fine. But the thing
I
is
got
like
you.
who's got the money? That's the problem. Is like
Well,
me,
that's
but-
who's
Or,
that's
well,
the-
not me.
if Herbie starts his OnlyFans catering to bald stuff, then we'll be good.
Well, I mean,
There's
yeah,
your title
I'm
sponsor.
still
Bald stuff is a good start. Doesn't have to be up top. To the
Jail. Immediately jail.
Do the carpets match the drapes? I don't know. They don't exist. Oh shit!
Oh man.
We're gonna get canceled.
No, that's fine.
Or I could start a business.
I mean, I would embrace it. It's okay.
if
I'll
anybody
defend
wants to
Herbie.
subscribe, let me know what you would pay. Oh my, Brandon,
I'd give you a cool like $2.99 per month.
that's rough.
That's rough.
I'm a drifter. I'm broke.
That's fine. I understand.
I'm gonna go eat Easy Mac after this for the second night in a row.
I'm waiting on some McDonald's right now.
Hell yeah.
Nice. You live in the big life. McDonald's is expensive nowadays, bro.
Yeah, but if you get 3 double cheeseburgers plain, it comes to $8.60
Bro, that's still $8 for 3 small burgers, bro. That's so expensive though.
You're getting doubles.
Yeah.
You can't eat 3 doubles.
I don't
Brandon
know, I
would
think-
pay you a nickel per month, so at least I would pay you higher.
Wow. All right.
Let's
Top
let's
bit
have
of
some
the-
fun here. Let's have some fun. Last little bit of the show. We're almost 2 hours already.
Yeah, we like to yap.
What?
Yeah. What is y'all's from Malik? What are y'all's dream comp car?
Ladies first.
Oh, come on, guys. You're going to make me say it. Well, Malik, I'm partial to the S chassis with the big fat fucking V8 under the hood. And
She's
I would
compensating for
prefer
a lot of things.
Roots style supercharger, like big old belt driven out the hood type boy.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it. It's simple. That's crazy.
Thank
that
you.
That's
I'm a
your,
simple dude.
Your dream out of anything.
I'm-
Because mine would be a C63 Black Edition AMG, fully gutted, with a 2J, and
So
fucking with
specific.
some big old fucking VSKFs on that bitch.
That's rowdy. I like that.
Yeah,
We like a wagon.
that
a wagon.
is that is the Herbie dream right there, right
Yeah.
there. Really, a C63 is my dream, Black Edition. Because it's got the supercharger and all the nice bits and bobs and all that nice stuff. So
Yeah.
Alex used to make fun of me on Forza for that.
Yeah. I would love a Volvo 940 wagon with an inline 5. I forget the engine. Inline 5 turbo that the S60R comes with.
Let's go.
So Fun fact about the Volvo wagon, the very first car I ever saw drifting in person, my young ass walking into
No way.
my very baby's very first East Coast bash, and I walk up to the gate and I see a Volvo 240 wagon drifting around
Let's
Hairpin.
go.
It did have an LS in it, so take that with a grain of salt.
That's
I think
fine.
it was on like orange or pink tires, and I literally will never forget that moment. I have to imagine it's probably like the first time you see boobs, and you're just like, it's burned right in my skull. I'll never forget it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm a Square Wagon fan, and there's a guy that I think he did Drift Masters or one of the rounds in Drift Masters, I think last year, that had a carbon Kevlar one. Uh, and yeah, I kind of was like, that's my dream car right there.
Wagons are superior. Wagons are the
Actually,
coolest.
honestly
all the
though,
time.
the guys that I also really like those Nissan R this what's it's an R31. What's the Keep It Reet guy have? Nissan R.
Oh,
What is that?
wait.
It's an R. I
Okay.
think it's an R32 or an R31. It's an old wagon, but it's boxy and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what
I
you're saying.
forget-
He
I
told
forget-
me.
What? Keep
Yeah.
it re
I rode in it. It's sick.
Yeah.
hard.
You know the one I'm
Get
talking
it
about?
hard.
Mhm.
No.
Yeah, I was literally in it on the Appalachia,
Yeah.
and it was mad weird. I felt like I was gonna die because it was super fast of a track, and also I was on the
Wrong
left
side.
hand side.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
That does
I kept like lifting my clutch foot up.
Right.
Like, come on. I know what we got to do, sort of.
Guys, what is the Keep It Reet car? I know one of you guys in chat knows what it is.
R31
Oh,
wagon. It's a
That's
Barrow.
right. That's what I
That's
thought it
was
was.
saying.
I thought it was an
Yeah.
R31, but I was like,
Yeah, thank
I-
you, chat.
yeah.
That would be my
Mess up.
second. Like, if I had like not a comp car, like just like my fucking final bout car would be like a '77 Celica with a Beams motor in it, with some nice 15s on it.
Is that kind of
Yeah.
like Panic's car?
Yeah.
I feel
Okay.
like I have bad
What?
taste in cars.
Oh, all right, gotcha.
No, you're just basic bitch. It's
Shut the
okay.
mic down.
There's
No,
this McDonald's.
There we go.
Love that for him.
He's so excited.
I mean,
It's
one of
also-
the best cars I've ever driven. I don't. It's not a dream car because I don't think I'll ever be able to own it ever in my lifetime. Is an RS6 Avant.
Oh,
Like,
dang. That's
that
Oh
thing.
yeah,
Fuck,
nice old wagon.
dude, it's
Mhm.
sick.
They don't make them in the U.S., do they?
No, they do.
The CEO of my company has one, and they were like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Sarah, we need you to film a sound clip video," and I was like,
That's like an import, though.
No.
"I don't know.
No,
it's
they do.
available here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
The new ones,
is.
yeah.
Oh.
So fast.
They're
I
not.
cannot
It's not like an
explain to you.
old RS6. It's like a new one.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's not.
Still.
It's an automatic, and I have my own gripes with that car. But,
I know, dude. Literally, nobody beats their chests about a manual harder than me. But the car was quick. It was very fast.
Yeah. Oh, all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna let Herbie eat his dinner. I appreciate
Thanks.
every moment that we had out here. It was a great time.
Cheers.
Bullshitting with everyone in the
They're all
chat.
empty.
I know.
See you next week.
Yeah, we gotta
Cheers.
see you next Tuesday, buddy.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Oh shit.
Let's get
Wow,
shirts.
That's great.
Let's
I
get
like
shirts.
it. Oh, man.
shit.
Well, I
All right,
appreciate it
well,
again. Make sure to check these guys out. Sarah, how do you spell your last name again on Instagram? Please tell
It's
me.
okay. It's SARA, no H. Okay. Little weight reduction. We don't need the extra letter. Last name RIORDAN. And there's an underscore on there.
Right?
That's
and
me.
Cool. And don't follow Herbie unless you want his bald pics, because that's his main export. So
I'm doing all the things. I'm doing the most.
What else you got?
either
I
his
think
thumbs
just
up.
One.
Is that one?
Wait. Well, no. This is one. I think. Oh, maybe
Oh,
this.
hell
one?
yeah. Okay. Get down
Maybe
with it.
love.
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't remember. I don't remember.
Way to ruin the outro to the show, Herbie. Thank you.
I'll keep
All right.
thumbs up. There you go.
Oh my
Bye,
gosh,
everybody.
Herbie.